Our next speaker, welcoming to the stage, is Joel Valenzuela. Joel is a veteran independent journalist and blockchain technology educator and consultant. He's been living off of cryptocurrency since 2015. He is a mover to New Hampshire for the Free State Project. He's a pretty good follow on Twitter. He creates content for the Digital Cash Network and writes for Human Events. And here he is, Joel Valenzuela.
All right, let me see if I get this first step correct. Ready? Oh, there we go, except it's too many slides forward. All right. Hey, everyone. First thing I should just mention, since this is something that I've been kind of really deep in for a very long time, the biggest thing is I definitely want people's questions. In fact, I could turn this into a whole hour-long Q&A and do nothing else if people want to do. But I will do a short little presentation to give you material for questions. But largely, I'm just here to help you learn how to live on crypto, either very small partially or up to entirely, and kind of give you the tools for that. But a lot of that stuff is like, questions and stuff. And so if there's anything I don't answer in here, ask it there. And if there's anything you can't ask there, just find me. I'm around, and then just chat with me. Or, go to my website, etc. Hit me up on Twitter, whatever. Wherever you might find me, hit me with the smoke signals. If I can interpret them, I will answer them. So I'm not going to spend too long on the why, because I assume everyone here has a little bit of, kind of knowledge about the history of money, the Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, and a lot of people are on the general wavelength of government bad. Who here's a government good person? There we go. I knew there's always one. So this is one example. This is from 2021, which is, an eternity ago, right? 40% of U.S. dollars in existence were printed in the last 12 months. And so just for the quick implications of that means that 40% that means a titanic amount of money is being siphoned away from the money that the government let you keep already. I mean, I wouldn't say everyone, a lot of people probably pay taxes here. And that's already a lot, but there's this invisible tax where whenever the government prints dollars or euros or whatever else is honestly being printed a lot more than dollars in a lot of cases, they're siphoning money away from your value without even having the courtesy of telling you that they're stealing from you, right? And they're doing all kinds of not very pleasant kind of things. And even among the, I guess, non-anarchist ones among us, I think we would all agree that it's a good idea for the government to sort of obtain some semblance of permission before taking this stuff. Obviously, a lot of people here are also of the mindset of it's all theft, right? Which I could get behind that. But basically, you work really hard. I mean, everyone has a job they hate or has had one. Even the people who have a job they love work very hard, and they get paid for it. And to kind of steal that piece of life away from you is just, it's really tragic, to be honest. All that time you spend, and then just the extraction of that. And so that's happening to everyone who holds U.S. dollars, for example. And the only way to stop that is to minimize that exposure or reduce it to zero. And so that's one thing. Inflation. Inflation bad. Can you all remember that, at least from today? Inflation bad. This is another thing, also from 2021. It was a great year for awful things, as it turns out. MasterCard unveils new carbon calculator tool for banks globally as consumer passion for the environment grows. Again, this is from their website, so that's why it sounds a little nicer than it might maybe otherwise seem. But if you were at the 10 a.m. Naomi Rockwell talk, you learned that your phone is spying on you. Guess what? Your bank is spying on you. Your cards are spying on you. Financial purchases are some of the biggest ways that governments and big corporations, and then, of course, they're going to talk to the government, are collecting information about everything you do, about your whole life, and using that in most immediately to profit, but also potentially for some more nefarious needs. I mean, I don't think anyone here really wants a carbon scoring behind their entire financial history about like, oh, you've been a bad boy, you you buy too much red meat. We see it. And therefore, your credit score suffers or whatever. There's just all kinds of horrendous kind of implications behind having your whole financial history, your whole financial activity tied into a system that tracks everything and kind of keeps score. And of course, everyone probably also remembers the ability of the financial system to censor people. And I mean, banks, for example, were there was a big protest by truckers in Canada and the U.S. and the world during the whole lockdown regimes. And a lot of people, one of the first things that happens is you get your bank accounts shut down. And a lot of this is done like without anything resembling legal due process. And of course, there's lots to be suspicious of what's considered legal due process. But imagine you don't even get that. And especially, and this is as a side note, people who've been in the crypto industry and have kind of interfaced with the old banking system realize just how completely arbitrary and capricious the censorship kind of is. Like a bank can close your account arbitrarily for whatever reason, and they just don't even tell you. They just, sorry, you're taking away your ability to transact. And for most people, not having a bank account is a really bad hardship. There's almost nothing else you can do, as a result. And so it takes a brave, hardy person to learn how to deal kind of without that. So, anyone think it's a great idea to keep using the system that does all these things? No? Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page. And so, what we're able to achieve by using decentralized money that's run by not one entity, not one group, but just a whole bunch of things, open source internet money. A great thing about that is you get to avoid these things. First off, you get to see you get to know exactly how much of that you get to see how much of it is in existence at any one time. It can't be inflated arbitrarily like that. So you can kind of have a much more secure, I would just say, store of value in that kind of way. You can also not be censored just at a whim like that. If it's money you control, if you control what's known as the private keys, you control the actual access to your funds, only you control that, and you're kind of safe from that. And also, privacy is another whole element that's kind of there's a lot that's still being developed in the crypto ecosystems as far as that. But also, you have money that's not tied to your identity, and your purchases aren't necessarily attached to that. And so that's kind of where we're trying to achieve every way possible. And so you can use crypto for just about everything, like store your entire value in something that's not dollars. You can do that. That's the easiest one to do. The second one is you can have it in wallets and apps and programs or whatever where you control it entirely, where no one else has control over it, can take it away from you. And the hardest one, but it's still mostly achievable in a lot of ways, is you can do a lot of this anonymously, right? Without presenting your government ID, asking for permission. And that's kind of the hardest bit, because when you get to things like paying a mortgage, for example, or things like that, there's a lot of already like who you are, where you live is kind of already attached to that purchase to begin with. So a lot of the services that help you do that with crypto might still have a little bit of that KYC taint. But again, these are three things we're trying to get improvement on. We can improve with all three on almost all of them. And we can do 2 out of the 3, I believe, with all of them. So anyway, real quick dive into like the crash course on how some of you who are more kind of familiar with the stuff will be like, oh yeah, that's good. I'll use this thing. Other people will be at the end maybe like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And in which case, that's what the questions are for. All right. So first off, get a wallet, which a wallet is, let's be, I guess, super basic. It's kind of like an app, like a banking app, except you control everything that stores your money. I put the logos of the 4 that I think are the most efficient for spending everyday money. The one I use the most is the one on the far left, which is the official Dash wallet. The one there in the middle, in the semi-middle, is Edge. And Edge is a multi-coin wallet. It means that it supports a whole bunch of different cryptocurrencies, but also has a bunch of great features that kind of work for allowing you to spend your crypto and use it in a more practical way. The one next to it with the blue one there is the Cake wallet, which is kind of a new entrant to this whole space, but Cake is quite user-friendly It supports, I think, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Monero, and I believe Haven. And especially, I think it's especially big with the Monero community because in the past, it's been more difficult to spend Monero on everyday things, and now it's actually getting easier. And that last one is Phoenix, which is my favorite Lightning Network enabled wallet. I mean, there's a lot of people that are like, have Bitcoin for whatever reason, or are Bitcoin only, or, you know, rather than telling you should use this, you should use that, I'm giving you the best tools possible. Phoenix is a non-custodial, again, you get to hold all your own funds, wallet that lets you send Bitcoin over the Lightning Network, which is, if you need to do that, it's probably the best way. In particular, I thought I'd throw that one out there because the Lightning Network ecosystem tends to have a lot of permissioned apps, a lot of things where a company holds access to your money, which is that one of those three things we're trying to avoid. And so Phoenix is one of the ones that's both user-friendly, relatively speaking, and lets you hold your own money. So I figured I'd have that one in there. And so the good thing about most of these is they have a few special features in them that allow you to more easily spend it and have on-ramps of how you can buy it. And again, there's a lot of more complicated ways that you could do to do this more privately, for example, or things like that. But just for the super newbie-centric kind of thing, you can sign up for like a Coinbase, for example, in the Dash wallet. Or if you have one, you can just hit the buy button. It ends right into the wallet they control. And so that stuff's pretty easy. And a few of these have what I call spending assists. That's what we'll get to next in there that kind of help it out. Phoenix does not. Phoenix is the one bare bones one on all that. But it's easy enough to use with some of these other kind of services. So that's just like your basic pocket wallet kind of thing, your debit card equivalent. So this is also an interesting one because there's, if you don't want to buy crypto right now, like you don't want to spend money on, or you don't want to sign up with some exchange and give them your ID and everything, this is an innovative way in the Edge wallet you can shop at any of these places listed and more, and you can use your current credit card, debit card, or whatever to buy stuff there, and you earn whatever those percentages back of your purchase, you earn those in crypto. So for the person who just, I don't know about giving my bank information, I don't know about holding stuff, just buy stuff with your bank card that you're usually doing and just get some free crypto on the side, and then that you can then stake it and earn interest on it. Then you can spend it. Then you can do all kinds of stuff. Then you're in. So it's just a great kind of like for free. Just have to change some spending habits a little bit here and there. You can kind of use this to, as a nice earning tool. So when I talk about spending assists, there's no real good term. I don't think that's an industry term. I just made it up because why not? Dash Direct is a standalone app. It might be part of the official Dash wallet soon. Who knows? And Cake Wallet, they use the same. There's a company called Ionia, which I'm a big fan of, and I'm not paid by them in any way. So before you even say that, because of all the shilling I'm going to be doing, it's basically right now their key product is a gift card service where you can buy a gift card to almost any like major retailer out there with crypto, but in an exact amount. And the user experience is smooth enough, you can actually do that at the register if you got this process down. So let's say you go to Home Depot. You want to buy some extra supplies. You go there. All right, it's like $59.38 is your total. So you go into one of these apps. You type in $59.38, hit buy, opens your crypto wallet, hit buy, and then you get a little QR code or a barcode, sorry. You turn around, scan it with the thing, and then you've paid. That simple. You have exposure to your crypto, turns into a gift card for about 5 to 10 seconds before it's spent. And it's just that easy. And you don't have to you don't have to give control of your crypto to some other service. Like say, some of these crypto-backed debit cards or whatever, where they hold on to your money and when you swipe it, it gets converted. It's like, no, you hold this in your own possession and then you spend it just when you need it. And so that's Dash Direct, and it's in the Cake wallet as well. Dash Direct is Dash only, but it has the best discounts of all these. Cake is the same company, but they don't have as good discounts. But if you want to spend your Monero, for example, or your Litecoin on it or whatever, then you do that. The last one, Bitrefill, is kind of a mainstay of the crypto world. It does a lot of this kind of stuff as well. Slightly, not usually as good discounts. slightly different selection, but those first two are right now U.S. only, whereas BitRefill works around the world. So if you're traveling to like Spain or something, you can use that as well. Also, BitRefill lets you pay your prepaid phone bill and stuff like that. BitRefill, up until very recently, had a bill pay system where you could pay your mortgage and other bills like that. That was, again, that last thing we don't like, KYC. You had to give your identity for that. Unfortunately, that got temporarily shut down, but we're going to cover that next too because there are other options. So that's just your running around spending at random places kind of stuff. I should note also, right now BitRefill does have a prepaid MasterCard where you can buy like those like prepaid cards you buy in like a grocery store or whatever. You can buy a virtual card like instantly. You can put it into your Google Pay or Apple Pay or whatever and just tap and pay with that. And the experience is a little too clunky to do this like for every purchase. But you can buy like $100 card, spend it around town, you're done with it. And when that's done, you just get another one and keep doing et cetera, et cetera. The first two are hopefully I don't like to promise stuff that doesn't exist yet, but hopefully going to have a much, much smoother version of that right in those. So something to look out for. All right, next, bill pay. So we already mentioned BitRefill. They're taking a break in the U.S. for now for their bill pay thing, but if you're ever in El Salvador and need to pay a utility bill there, they still work in El Salvador. The one on the left, though, is a new-ish company called Spritz Finance, which does let you pay literally all your bills. Right now, I think they're only using like Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, and those more like Web3, DeFi, smart contract, those more trendy kind of blockchains, but they are expanding to add at least Bitcoin and a few others hopefully soon. So that's the best service to pay all your utility bills. Again, unfortunately, you have to give your ID to do that, but you're already giving your ID for your bank account to do that stuff. So, trade-offs with everything. All right. Now, these are some extra things, and we're breezing through this. So, think of some questions you have. Start getting those in the back of your head. But the one left is Travala, and by the way, before you freak out about this, I do have on my site a directory of all these services. So you're like, well, I don't remember half of these things, which is I'm sure all of you. there is some hope for that. Anyway, so Travala lets you travel all on crypto. Flights, rooms, rental cars, et cetera, you can just kind of do that. And so if you're like, well, I understand all these services that work right where I live right here, but I'm traveling to, the Netherlands. What am I going to do? That helps you. The one on the right, there's this company called Shop&Bit, which has this very clever service, a concierge service, which basically you just say, I want this item, and I want to pay with crypto, and they'll buy it for you. It's usually, I think it's like a $100 or $200 minimum for those, but like if you just have this big order of random stuff you can't find a way to pay for in crypto, they will buy it all for you and send it to you, and you can just pay crypto. And so that's kind of like that big overview. So these are some links. This is my website. /crypto is a blog post. I'm going to publish that over the weekend or early Monday. I haven't had the chance to get that finished, but the second two work. Crypto-Services is a compendium of services that I'm going to keep updating. So like when something changes, like I tell you, this is how it works, this is what you got to be using, et cetera, and then next week, one of them goes down, or there's a new one I forgot to tell you about. That'll all be in there. I do a YouTube/library channel called Digital Cash Network. That's a little bit more crypto. It's a little bit less for crypto newbies, but I do have some crypto newbie content on there as well. But yeah, that's all my stuff right there. And we're at the end of this really quick overview. Who has been coming up with questions they want to know? Comments, metaphysical speculations. All right. I don't know. What's the... I guess Naomi is kicking this whole thing off.
Kicking it off. Can you tell me, what about more official things that you might need to pay for? So I'm thinking mortgages or taxes.
There you go. Spritz Finance will do all that stuff right now. So unfortunately, again, you do have to give your ID for that stuff, but you can still hold on to all your money and still keep it in crypto. And then there you go. And I'd encourage everyone to start using crypto somehow for little things. That's kind of the final boss, though, is your utility bills and all that. Is like, now you're paying for everything with crypto. So, anyway. Yes,
Okay,
next.
you said some of your things that were like Phoenix are non-custodial, which means you don't need to own crypto to use them.
No, what that means is you control it entirely. It's like cash in your pocket. So if I have cash in my pocket, no one can take that from me unless they literally physically come and hit me over the head with a hammer and take it out of my pocket. Whereas if you have money in a bank, the bank can just say you don't have money and you don't have it. And that's kind of the thing. Basically, you have to literally get hacked or your device stolen or something for someone to take your money. So it's not like a company where the government can say, take his money.
So all of these things require you to have some crypto in your account already.
Yeah, I mean, it's a container for crypto. Then you find a way to buy it or earn it or whatever, and the crypto goes in there. But once it's in there, it's yours, and only you can decide if it leaves or enters the wallet, or leaves the wallet, I should say.
Okay, I was wondering all the people who lost money with SBF and all that. What mistakes did they make?
Well, number one, I mean, people say all the time, don't leave your crypto on exchanges. But more specifically, those exchanges are custodial services, meaning they hold your money. They have your money, and they just promise to give it back to you if you ask really nicely. But sometimes they gamble all your money away and don't have it, and then you don't get it back. So that's why I only recommend things where you hold on to it, where the only way you're going to lose money is if you made a very specific mistake.
So burning question was a couple of years ago, I took my first steps and bought some Bitcoin on Coinbase. And then I wanted to go more into a privacy coin. So I went and I onto a Trade Ogre, and I bought what I perceive as a privacy coin pirate chain. And so that's all on that exchange. I think it's still on that, it's on that exchange.
Yeah.
And the piece that I'm missing is how does one get it off and onto like an external hard drive or something that I actually can hold in my hand? Is there any way to do that?
Let me check real quick, because I think Edge Wallet, which is one of those 4 I mentioned, I think they support Pirate Chain. I'm not super familiar. So Pirate Chain's kind of a newer entrant. It's not nearly as common of a crypto. So I don't know as much. Let me see.
But just like, if I could follow up, so is there a way for a person to save all that onto an external hard drive and not worry about an app or anything along those lines?
Yes, I guess so. I'm trying to see how deep we should go, but
fair
there's
enough.
there's something called a hardware wallet, which is an external device that connects. You can have like an app on your computer or whatever, but once you unplug it, basically you can't send or receive from there. So I would recommend that's the next step. Again, this is super basic, but the next step is if you want to hold more than like a few hundred or a few $1,000s worth, you want to buy typically, obviously, if you can make your whole air-gapped USB key stuff yourself, you don't need to be here at all, right? But if you do, buy like a hardware wallet, like Trezor or Ledger are the two most popular ones. What was that? I'm sorry. Yes, and yeah, I just checked that as well. The Edge wallet, the phone app does support Pirate Chain, so you can use that. The only reason I know that is because I think I saw the CEOs doing some like Twitter space with them or something. So, yeah. Well, there you go. Fun. All right.
Are there any third-party apps or any like recommendations for keeping track of all your transactions, buys and sells?
So I can't remember. I know the Dash Wallet. I think Edge 2, they have export to CSV kind of functionality. That's a whole nother segment of this stuff, but basically you can export your transactions and show what the profit and loss kind of stuff was. Yeah, and that's obviously a good question for tax purposes for those who are worried about that. In the U.S., every time you sell or spend crypto, you're supposed to keep track of what price you got it at, and then what price you realize that at. And obviously, that can be a huge pain in the butt. But also, I do know some companies or some individuals and companies that do a tax loss harvesting strategy where if the crypto tanks, they'll write that off as a loss on their taxes and get that back. And then if it goes far up, they just won't sell it or use it, and so they don't have to take that gain. But I'm sure that's like a very long subject of how to crypto tax strategy. But yeah, basically, yes, a lot of the best wallets should have an export to CSV kind of thing. A lot of the good thing about wallets is they're just lenses for looking at your private keys. And so you can take your 12 words, your recovery phrase or whatever, and put them into a different one if that has a little bit better, I guess, tracking on this kind of stuff. There's like a lot of software that lets you do that and kind of makes it easy. And good point, in my crypto services thing, I should add a accounting and reporting section to that and start putting things in there. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
What's your usability experience of Lightning? I've been in crypto for a while, and it's always been like, it's going to be ready in 6 months. It's going to be ready in 6 months. And it's, in my opinion, never quite user ready. And so it's like, realistically, like all I got to do is remember seed phrase, and I don't got to come back and babysit something or balance channels or whatnot. Is it there yet? Is it ever going to get there?
So that's the complicated question.
Thank you.
I wish there was some more easy yes or no's on that. But the answer is, in most cases, you can have a good enough user experience using Lightning and holding on to your own funds if you use that one app I recommended. If you use Phoenix, because Phoenix, their service manages all the channels for you, and basically it's hardwired into like one service. So it is kind of what the kids call centralized, right? It is heavily centralized, but at least they can't steal your money from you. They can just block your ability to transact, but then you can at least put that again into a different app and then kind of go from there. But yeah, the Lightning experience, I because of the structure, it's always either going to be difficult to use, or you're going to be heavily reliant on some service that backend manages all this stuff for you at cost to themselves, and then they're going to start charging you pretty high fees for that, probably. That's just what I think.
Can you recommend some good ways to get Bitcoin or other crypto without having to go through KYC?
I can recommend some ways. I don't know if they're good ways. Good shirt, by the way. Where did you get that? Did you get it around here somewhere? Hey, hook me up. Yeah, hook me up afterwards. That's always the hardest part. The easiest way, or the best way of getting crypto, I should say, is the way I've always gotten it, which is earn it. If you can find someone who will pay you in crypto, that's kind of the way to go. Of course, if you have like a day job where you're already 1099 or whatever else, then there's always that element to it. As far as buying, that's the one area where it's gotten harder to do crypto without like involving some sort of privacy / identity kind of compromise. Has been the peer-to-peer. The real question is anyone here selling crypto for cash? If so, talk to them. There you go. Just be careful when you're doing this with strangers and stuff like that. Like people, we're all friends here, right? But like, there are some cases where people have gotten in trouble trading on some of these like things like local Bitcoins and stuff. In fact, I'm interviewing some fellow in the next couple weeks who just got out of prison for the very same thing, and he's going to tell me about his story. But anyway, not to spook you guys off, but you can do it like that way. Just buy peer-to-peer from an actual person. But earning, which is one great thing about that Edge Wallet feature, is if you just start using all your own regular purchases and earning crypto points, that's kind of an easy way to get going on that. There are a couple services that let you buy up to a certain limit without giving your ID, but you buy with your bank or debit card or something. So I don't know how, it depends on how dark you're trying to get with that. I don't know how that might be worth investigating. Thor Wallet, Thor is in Thor's hammer. Thor Wallet has a buy feature that will let you buy up to $2,000 per year without giving them your ID, but it is with your bank card and stuff like that. So I don't know if that really is too much of an improvement, but it is what it is.
In case people get spooked, it's not illegal to buy crypto from someone face to
Yes, thanks for pointing that part out. Yes, peer-to-peer trades of crypto is perfectly legal. Where I've seen people get in trouble is when they start making a business out of it without registering as a money services business. That tends to be the thing. And also, if you're talking to some guy and he says, "Hey, can I need to buy some crypto so I can buy some drugs or something illegal," Fed, stay away from them. Like, don't do that, because that's just don't. Like, I'm not judging anyone's decision to use whatever they want, to buy whatever they want, but like, if people are advertising something explicitly illegal, there's just a risk to that. There just is. So just, be smart about it. Don't be a dum-dum. Yes.
Okay. So thanks for coming, Joel.
Thank
I'm
you.
concerned about the federal government issuing a CBDC and forcing pretty much everybody in the U.S. to use that CBDC. And I would like to see some type of state-level nullification where we restrict the state government from enforcing it, but without limiting innovation and local businesses from being able to use it. I did hear that you testified against the current version of a bill that was introduced at the State House. Can you suggest an amendment or to that bill, or another bill that you would support banning the State Banking Commission from allowing or from forcing customers to use CBDCs? Because I'm okay if you want to use a CBDC as a customer, but you shouldn't be forced to use it. So thank you.
That was HB 225, I believe, and the way the language was written seemed to be able to easily be used to just ban all crypto. And so I testified before the committee, sent them some extra stuff of how to amend it. So instead of like they're banned from using this, like all this kind of stuff, I just suggested a language change to they cannot be required to do that. And so that's like a suggested improvement. However, some of the other reps thought that still was not probably good. And the real thing about this whole CBDC thing is, I hate to say it when we're so close to pilots on this, but the situation is so theoretical still. Like, something like this is coming. What's it going to look like? Is it going to be they're going to create their own permission blockchain and force everyone to use this kind of stuff? Are they going to issue an official Federal Reserve stable coin on things like Ethereum, Polygon, etc.? Are they just going to make current stablecoin issuers register with the Federal Reserve, for example? I don't know what it's actually going to look like. And with that moving target thing, especially what people are going to be forced to accept or whatever. I mean, we already sort of have like legal tender laws. So like we already have a semi-CBDC in that we have dollars which are tracked and almost exclusively used online to trade. So I think in order to have the best, in my personal opinion, again, I'm not a legal expert or a legislator, I think it's probably best to wait to see exactly what we're going to try to ban or whatever, to have the best legislation possible. Generally speaking, of course, I'd like it to preempt anything nasty. However, I don't want to preempt something nasty by banning accidentally, whoopsie, the actual solution to this, which is decentralized permissionless cryptocurrencies, if that makes sense.
I got a question about like you paying utility bills. For a while, it looked like BitRefill was offering a bill pay service, and I just happened to check the website now. It looks like they're not doing that again. Is there a service for like paying your utility bills and stuff?
Yes. That's the one on the left, Spritz Finance. Spritz, like as in Aperol Spritz, the fun little cocktail hopefully you'll be enjoying after this. Spritz.finance.
And they still support like the paying your like EverSource bill and stuff?
Yes, you should be able to pay everything there. Okay. The only thing, they only support smart contract coins right now. But I'm trying to convince them to add some other ones. They seem to be in the process. They're kind of a new company. BitRefill might be back too. I'm kind of holding out hope for that. They just need to get, a new banking partner who's less spooked by the whole FTX thing, as Spritz clearly has found. Yes.
Hi. How do you track your all your transactions for tax purposes, specifically cost basis, and across different wallets?
Yeah, so obviously the way to do this the best, first off, get an accountant. Legacy Financial they're pretty good. They're local here. That's probably the best way. But generally speaking, try to limit the amount of like million different wallets, little coins here and there. Try to keep it to fewer and keep track of it better. And a lot, as I believe I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of these that let you export all your transactions into a spreadsheet of like this for this and this. And then the good thing about when you use some of those like spending assists, like the gift card services, is Dash Direct in particular, and I'm pretty sure I'm not sure if Cake Pay has that same functionality, but has an export feature as well. So if you spend it through there, you have the exact dollar amount that you cashed out for in a separate thing. So between those two, you should probably be good. Again, I do now realize I do need a section on that middle link right there of tax and accounting tools for this kind of stuff. And so I'll start building that out. 10 minutes. Hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Fantastic. What about you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Can I help you with a crypto question?
Yeah, definitely. So my brother got me into it a few years ago. He got a credit card and started buying up Bitcoin so he could pay off other debts, and it was really good for him until the big crash like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
It's kind of slowly recovering, and that's nice to see. But my question is about services or apps that have the feature with the bots that help you buy and sell according to the market trends, so that you're always kind of earning.
Yeah, I'm not as much of I'm not up on the trading aspect of things. Generally speaking, like, I'm a crazy person in that, like, I just have crypto and that's what I spend and just, it does what it does kind of thing. But generally speaking, I mean, look up dollar cost averaging. That really helps most people kind of get into kind of a more stable way of doing that. On a more, I guess, there's also like the buy, just like spend it more when it's up. When it's not up, just spend it less. There's like that stuff too. At some point, see this question and the tax question are the most annoying questions. No offense to people who ask, because it's the most pertinent for the regular people, unfortunately. I hope those aren't as much of a thing in the next 5 years, where there's more legal clarity on how to do this, like say a de minimis exemption for small purchases where you don't have to record that. Hopefully that happens. I would love that. And then hopefully a lot of people just buy and hold and speculate and gamble on this stuff. I hope a lot more people live on crypto, because then that'll make it a lot more stable and you don't really need. Basically, I hope the world changes so I don't have to answer these questions. But yeah, wishful thinking maybe. I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, anyone else? Final takers. Ooh, we got one more. But in the meantime, obviously, write down the website, the YouTube channel, etc. Go there. Imprint this face into your retinas or whatever. So if you see me running around, you can come and talk to me, and yes.
So I'm a hodler.
Nice.
I don't actually transact in it.
Oh no.
But I mean, I'm gonna make that leap eventually.
Yeah.
In the time being, though, I still have a lot on an exchange. I still have it on Coinbase. But what's the possibility of actually having some sort of an insurance, like an FDIC or some sort of like trust that, the whole not your keys, not your coin situation, like for just people that have it on there because they want to day trade or whatever?
Yeah.
What would it take for you to trust?
Well, I don't think I would ever personally trust any centralized exchanges or anything like that. So I can't remember off the top of my head. There is a company that partners with some wallets that gives insurance for, against thefts and hacks and things like that, and just loss. And so for some people who just store their own money but don't want to deal with that, they don't want the risk of, whoops, I forgot the dog ate my seed phrase, and then you're just out of luck. There's also a company called Casa Hodl, which does kind of like multi-signature storage solutions where they don't hold your money for you. You hold it, but together with them. So just in case you lose it, they can help recover it. Or in case, one of your keys gets compromised, they can still do that. So I would look up Casa HODL, and then also can't for the life of me remember what that insurance one was, but yeah. What was it called? Nexus Mutual. Okay, look that up too. All right.
When I think Casa is either going into holding Ethereum as well with you. That used to be just Bitcoin.
Yeah, so a friend of mine lives locally, works for them too. So yeah.
What is your favorite funny personal anecdote or life experience of living off of crypto or in crypto in general?
I'll throw two out there, and I'm sure I'll think of many more, and I'll just have a whole stand-up routine by next Liberty Forum. But there was I was giving out a couple Pork Fests ago. I think it was 2019, maybe 2020. I was giving out like some free money, some free crypto to everyone who came by this table. And some lady came by with like, do you remember when laptops used to be like this thick? She had one of those and was like, how do I do this? It doesn't have the internet. I'm like, I could not help her in that moment. And the other thing was, so I spoke at World CryptoCon in Vegas a few years ago, and the entire thing is, this is the guy who lives on Banked Off Crypto. Let's hear him talk. And so they decided to give me a room there and everything. It was great of them. But so I show up to the hotel, and then they're like, all right, we need a card for incidentals. I mean, you mean like a bank card? And I'm like, yeah. Like, well, I don't really have one. And they were like, well, sorry, you need one. You can't stay here. And I was like, nothing? And so then I would talk to the organizer of the event, and they're like, yeah, we can't help you. Sorry. I'm like, you mean you invited me here expecting me to be a liar? Like, you expected me to be like, well, that's all for show. Here you go, kind of thing. And so that was, I had to go then use, it wasn't Travala, but it was Cheap Air, this other thing, to then buy my own hotel with crypto. And as part of, I think Travala does have a card for incidentals that they automatically do for you, so you don't have to do it yourself. I'm pretty sure they do. I've heard some people say they do. And so, yeah, I just had to do that. There were some other, that's one of those weird things where not having a bank account really sucks, is that paying for parking is another one. And then like just that kind of stuff. Those are a couple things. For many years, I would like sell a little bit of crypto for some cash, and I've left like a Motel 6 like a couple $100 in cash for incidentals and just picked it up at the end of the stay. I've done that before. That's the good thing about when I mentioned these like prepaid crypto cards that are much easier to get by these days. That kind of helps for just having one of those, just like buy something with crypto, keep it in your pocket in case you need it for literally that one purpose or maybe one other. So that was pretty funny. All right. Anyone else? I think I guess one last one then, huh?
So I've been hearing anecdotally several countries like Venezuela and some others where like the economy or the currency crashes and crypto is, I won't call it an underground economy, but like it seems to have like sparking a lot more. I heard you were involved in some of that. Or do you know sort more of. like is that a real thing? Like is there like this thriving crypto economy in, less developed countries?
So, to a certain extent, yes. And this kind of brings us back. I think that's a great theory, right? In practice, and I have like some friends of mine, people I've worked with, have onboarded thousands of merchants in Venezuela, for example. And obviously in El Salvador, it's legal tender, which means most of the big, like the big block technical business kind of places, most of them have, can take crypto or something. St. Kitts, like tons of merchants there take it. The reality is, when we're talking about, it's not like U.S. inflation where people are like, all my life is taken care of, but I don't like that my money is becoming less valuable every year. I'm going to do some cutting edge things and talk with experts to like fix this. We're talking like poor people, like really like eating, sometimes like the economic collapse is causing people to eat out of trash cans and stuff. This is not a lot of times when you have people who are trying to speculate with a volatile, cutting edge digital asset. So yes, you do have some of that, but a lot of times what people really want the most is dollars, because dollars have the biggest network effect. Dollars are more stable than crypto. Even though they're stable in this trajectory, it's still better for them than like that stuff. And so as I point out with BitRefill is probably the company that facilitates adoption of cryptocurrencies the most in the entire world. And a giant chunk, I believe over half their volume is in stable coins. And one of the ones that's one of the sleeper things is Tether on the Tron network is like a quarter of their entire volume. And it's like people almost forget about Tron these days. It's like one of those like cheap like Ethereum killers with some big security, some decentralization compromises or whatever. But the point is, the average person, especially if you're unbanked, you'll want to be banked. You don't want to be like, well, let me get in this weird crypto world. A lot of times people just want like, I want to buy stuff. I want my money not to crash. And I want to get paid by people. And so they use these cheaper networks that use a dollar pegged coin to do this kind of stuff. And it's easy for us to get all theoretical about how terrible that is, but like super practical, like does it work for what they want? Yes. So I think that once you have more stability in crypto, more people using it, I think that then it'll be a lot easier for these kind of inflation-ridden countries to start kind of moving over into that. Of course, I would suggest they use it now, but I understand that they're already a very risky lifestyle they're living just by living where they do. And so, yeah. All right, is that it? Is that it? All right, well, feel free to catch up with me around, ask any other questions. I will work on more of those goofy stories for next year. But yeah, thanks very much. And remember, start using crypto for something. Just find one thing. You like to go to Dunkin' Donuts? Buy your Dunkin' Donuts gift cards every day. Just do one thing. Figure it out, and it'll be a lot less intimidating. So go forth and live on crypto.
All right, guys. That was great. We have a couple of minutes, and I think we're going to do some audio troubleshooting. We have like 10 minutes between now and the next speech, which is Preston Byrne. So feel free to hang out, mingle, go stretch your legs. We'll be back in 10.